Now, on to the point.
We are very opposed to CARE Court.
I still do support the CARE Act and CARE Court.
2 years after its launch to help the unhoused, the debate on whether California's CARE Court is working. After a mistrial, serial stabbing suspect Carlos Dominguez is back in court today. The date now set for his new trial. The Trump administration is looking to weaken the fight against climate change, the possible impacts on California. And in our Champions of Hope, one woman's dream to honor and share her grandfather's legacy.
He puts his heart into everything that he does, and he expects nothing in return.
Good evening. As always, thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. And tonight we're talking about the controversial CARE Court program aimed at addressing severe mental health issues and homelessness. And it's all part of Governor Gavin Newsom's multi-billion-dollar plan to overhaul the state's behavioral health system. I want to bring in ABC 10's Becca Habecker, who's joining us live in studio, because Becca, you've been really digging into the numbers and also looking at the results so far.
Yeah, that's right, Alex. CARE Court launched as a pilot in some counties nearly 2 years ago now, with other counties launching CARE Court this past December. Now, our colleague Jackson Ellison and I sought to find out, is CARE Court working to get people off the street? Well, the results are mixed.
My daughter kept falling through all those cracks.
Elizabeth Kino Hopper has filed a petition to get her daughter involved in CARE Court in Sacramento County after other attempts to get her services haven't worked.
I have full confidence that over time, this program is actually doing exactly what it was intended to do, is to recognize there are some people who will be very difficult to engage in treatment. And they will need repeat opportunities.
To qualify for CARE Court, which stands for Community Assistance, Recovery, and Empowerment, someone must be an adult with a diagnosis of schizophrenia spectrum or other psychotic disorders with severe and persistent symptoms and not already stabilized.
The petitions are filed directly with the court. The judge is the one that makes the prima facie review on whether they meet, on paper at least, the criteria for the CARE Court program.
Nicole Cable is the health program manager for Sacramento County Behavioral Health Services. She oversees the county's implementation of CARE Court.
I think what it's doing is really helping people.
She says if the CARE Court judge determines a person meets the criteria, he orders the county to go make contact with that person and give an in-person assessment. And if they qualify, offer CARE Court participation.
We are bound by that mandate, but the clients are still able to say no.
She says since launching CARE Court in December, Sacramento County has had some 75 petitions on behalf of individuals. Of those, 10 people are on care agreements.
A care agreement can be all sorts of different things, housing supports, therapy, medication, really anything that our service providers can offer.
But what if someone rejects care or doesn't meet the criteria?
Our data doesn't really tell the story. You look at it and you'll see that we've dismissed a lot of the cases or closed referrals because they didn't meet criteria. I think what's not shown is that for all of those clients, we're looking at what else do they qualify for? How else can we get them into services?
We are very opposed to CARE Court for a number of reasons.
Samuel Jan is senior policy attorney at Disability Rights California. He says concerns include the high cost of CARE Court. According to a legislative analysis, the cost per individual in the CARE Act for fiscal year 2023-24, that's the court's pilot period in only a handful of counties, was approximately $713,000. At the time, the program had only 100 participants.
If we want to address homelessness, we need affordable housing, that money would be much better served going towards, community-based voluntary services and housing.
Elizabeth acknowledges the program isn't perfect, but it is giving her hope for her daughter.
I still do support the CARE Act and CARE Court because every effort is made to do everything voluntarily.
The California Health and Human Services Agency says statewide more than 2,000 CARE Court petitions have been filed and more than 1,000 other individuals have been offered services following an initial connection with CARE Court. The governor's office tells ABC 10 they're pleased with the early results and continue to work on full-scale implementation. Alex.
All right, Becca, thank you. And for more information on what CARE Court looks like in other local counties, you can find more of our reporting over on our website, abc10.com. Tonight, we now know Davis serial stabbing suspect Carlos Dominguez will be getting a new jury and a new trial. Dominguez is accused of killing 2 men and injuring 1 woman during a 2023 stabbing spree through Davis. Now, Dominguez will be tried again on charges of attempted murder and manslaughter. The previous jury could not come to a unanimous decision on those charges, which led to the mistrial. The idea of a confidential settlement conference was also brought up, which the prosecution said they would explore, but a decision was not made today. The new trial is now set for January 20th, 2026. Kaiser Permanente plans to pause gender-affirming surgeries for patients who are under 19 years old. The move comes after talks with the hospital's experts, including doctors. Kaiser says there has been increased focus on gender-affirming care since January, especially for patients under 19. The U.S. Department of Justice has also subpoenaed doctors and clinics that provide such care to trans youth. Kaiser's new policy will go into effect August 29th. Now, Kaiser says in part, quote, Kaiser Permanente is dedicated to providing safe, high quality and evidence-based care to all our members, including adolescents. We are proud of the care and coverage we provide to transgender patients. Our work in this area and the inclusive care we provide for LGBTQ plus individuals and their families is recognized in the community. California continues to fight the Trump administration over AmeriCorps funding. Today, Attorney General Rob Bonta, along with 22 other attorneys general, amended their ongoing legal challenge of Trump's attempt to cut the program. Now, they've added the White House, the Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, as a defendant in their lawsuit for withholding tens of millions of dollars in funding. In June, Bonta secured a court order that reinstated hundreds of AmeriCorps programs that were unlawfully canceled. Bonta claims despite the order, OMB is withholding money intended for outstanding service programs. A federal appeals court today ruled California's law requiring background checks to buy bullets is unconstitutional. The law took effect back in 2019 after voters passed it in 2016. Today's ruling upholds a 2024 decision by a lower court that found the state law violates the Second Amendment. The judge saying that if people can't buy bullets, they can't use their guns for self-defense. Safeway workers on the verge of walking off the job, when a strike might start and what it means for shoppers. Plus, ending the fight against climate change, the possible changes to environmental regulations paving the way for fossil fuel projects.
We had some thunderstorms in the high country this afternoon. We might still see one up near Tahoe later on this evening, and I'm expecting more widespread storms once again tomorrow in the Sierra. We'll look at Futurecast after the break.
But first, in other headlines tonight, the Department of Justice met with Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, today. The DOJ wants to know if Maxwell has information about anyone who committed crimes against victims. The meeting happened in Florida, where Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence for her role in enticing and recruiting underage girls to be sexually abused by Epstein. President Trump today signed an executive order addressing whether college athletes can be considered employees of their schools. This aims to clarify national standards for the NCAA's name, image, and likeness, or NIL program. The shift that started in 2021 after a Supreme Court ruling has led to schools paying athletes directly and sparked collective bargaining and labor law debates. Global wrestling icon Hulk Hogan has died. According to the WWE, Hogan died just this morning. He was 71 years old. Hogan, whose real name is Terry Bollea, rose to become one of the biggest wrestling stars of all time. He was famous for starring in WrestleMania a number of times, and he leaves behind his wife and 2 children.
Welcome back in. It was another beautiful day here in Sacramento. Let's get over to meteorologist Brendan Minchef with a look at your forecast and what we can expect for the rest of the week.
Yeah, it was a very nice day today. We made it to 85 in Sacramento, but we have also had some thunderstorms, not necessarily much in the central Sierra. Tahoe had one thunderstorm move through at about 3 o'clock or so, and that was about it. We may still see a storm there yet today. We'll talk about that in a second. Most of the activity, as expected, has been in the northeastern part of the state, along and just to the west of 395, and that's still where we find those scattered thunderstorms. The only severe storm left on the map at this point is up near Wairika, and it's moving to the southwest right along Highway 3 towards Etna and Fort Jones. That does expire here within the next few minutes, but it is still going to be on the stronger side. Here closer to home, again, it's been very quiet. It was a very nice day. 85 in Sacramento, 87 Stockton, 87 in Modesto. Those temperatures are all about 10 degrees below normal for the time of year. And in fact, Sacramento is enjoying the coolest July that we have had since July of 2001. The average observed high temperature this month so far is 89.8 degrees. That is almost 10 degrees cooler than July 2024's average observed high temperature. We're going to start tomorrow morning off in the mid to upper 50s in the valley, 50s and 60s in the foothills. Tomorrow afternoon, very similar to what we've seen the last few days, low to middle 80s in the valley and in the foothills as well. As we look at Futurecast, though, still tracking some more thunderstorms, potentially a storm popping up near Tahoe around 11 o'clock tonight, and as it moves west and falls apart, could see some light showers along Highway 20 in the Sacramento Valley. This may or may not happen. A couple of models are indicating it will. That's why I'm talking about it here. But what I am confident in is we're going to see more widespread storms tomorrow, beginning about 1, 2 o'clock across the Tahoe Basin, and then across, once again, the Highway 395 corridor from Palumas all the way up to Modoc. And these storms are going to push west, and especially in the upper valley across the far northern part of the state are going to be on the stronger side. Potentially, once again, some severe storms. By the time we get to Saturday, it's just going to be some light pop-up showers and thunderstorms, but not as widespread as what we've saw today, nor like what we'll see tomorrow. Temperatures in the valley do warm up. Will be seasonal, actually, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as we're back in the low to mid 90s. But then as we get to the start of August next week, we're back in the upper 80s, Alex.
All right, Brendan, thanks. Right after the break, growing pains in a growing community. We hear from business owners feeling the impacts of a big construction project. And later in our Champions of Hope, we meet a young woman who's on a mission to keep her family legacy alive. Welcome back in. Several businesses in Manteca say that they are already feeling the impacts of a mile-long roadway project. Now, construction began recently, and as ABC 10's Gabriel Porras reports, finances are not the only thing that businesses are concerned about.
For 25 years, Manteca drivers had a choice, left or right off Main Street into the bays at Dribble's Car Wash. But that choice is gone.
We were not made aware of any of it as business owners prior to it passing city council and then being notified.
Notified of this, a multi-million-dollar city project to make a mile of Main Street safer by adding crosswalks, bike lanes, and this concrete median.
Not opposed to safety, just opposed to the removal of entrances to our businesses.
Construction still underway, but at his auto parts store, Paul Machado says the difference has been immediate.
You know, we used to average about, 15 to 20 retail customers, and now we're at like 5 or 6.
One customer told Paul if he hadn't already paid for a part, he would have kept on driving.
Because he said he had to flip around by Burger King, and he said he got almost hit. You know, our delivery driver has a hard time getting out of here too sometimes, especially depending on what time of the day. There's a line of traffic and they won't let us cut in.
There's also now a parking problem. Before the project started, people were able to park right here along the street. That is no longer an option, but that's also one of the only places that people visiting this food truck could park, which means they've had to close down.
We just wish we knew that this was going on.
I'm a reporter with ABC 10 News. We reached out to the city of Manteca and the city manager for an interview Thursday, but didn't hear back.
You can get around it. You can. It's not going to end your day, but it is frustrating.
We just thought that they would tell us.
Now, with the concrete set and the turning lanes erased, these businesses and their customers turning in say they're left stuck.
We've all been here 20 plus years, all along this way. We just want to know that we're valued.
In Manteca, Gabriel Porras, ABC 10.
Northern California Safeway workers could strike this Saturday if a deal is not made. Union leaders representing thousands of Safeway workers are negotiating with the company for higher wages and better benefits. Those leaders have set a Friday night deadline, and if a deal is not reached, they say that the employees will strike. This is expected to impact all of the Northern California stores. And coming up on Late News tonight, we're looking at the impacts and what Safeway is planning to do if that strike happens. California State Parks is rolling out reservation upgrades to make it easier for visitors to find their perfect campsite. Visitors can now access campground availability on the website, which is parks.ca.gov, and book a campsite in just a few clicks. It's all part of a customer-focused reservation upgrade announced today by California State Parks. And tonight, the EPA is reportedly planning to change a rule that allows the federal government to fight climate change. According to the New York Times, the Trump administration has a draft that would repeal the agency's scientific position that greenhouse gas emissions pose a threat to human life. Reporter Monica Madden explains what's at stake.
The EPA is reportedly planning to toss its standards for fighting climate change.
Drill, baby, drill.
Since taking office in January, President Donald Trump has clawed back several environmental regulations and declared an energy emergency to speed up fossil fuel projects.
Good, beautiful, clean coal. And if you notice, China's opening up a coal plant a month. It's probably the most powerful source of energy in terms of generation.
For nearly 2 decades, the endangerment ruling has been a critical tool for climate regulation.
So once EPA made that finding, it was then obligated to start protecting public health to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
Environmental law experts say this could mean the repeal of all current greenhouse gas pollution limits.
It's this cumulative impact that just keeps piling on and piling on. And so by reversing these standards and kind of changing the trajectory of where we see greenhouse gas emissions going, it's very scary, and it is it's a 5-alarm fire. It really is.
Berkeley professor Dan Farber agrees.
Unlike other forms of air pollution, if it gets in the atmosphere today, it's going to be gone in a week, right? But that's not true for CO2. If we have a surge of CO2 under Trump, that CO2 is going to be in the atmosphere for up to 200 years. Heating the planet.
But he isn't sure this will survive legal tests due to a 2007 Supreme Court case where justices ruled greenhouse gases are air pollutants under the Clean Air Act.
I think the issue would be whether they can somehow get a court in, hearing this issue to do something that will really, undermine Massachusetts versus EPA.
If the White House signs off on this proposal, the public will get the chance to weigh in before anything is finalized.
Now, according to the New York Times, the EPA also wants to rescind limits on tailpipe emissions, which was another incentive for automakers to build and sell electric vehicles. Experts don't think that this will impact California's climate regulations, but this all remains to be seen. All right, coming up right after the break, our champions of hope. We meet a family who is trying to cement their grandfather's legacy right in his hometown. We know that the news stories are filled with challenges and hardships, but incredible things are happening every day, from neighbors helping neighbors to inspiring acts of kindness. Each week, we are sharing stories of people who are really making a difference right here in our community. So tonight, in our Champions of Hope, we introduce you to a man whose Roseville family is hoping to keep his legacy alive.
Tiny Hernandez was born and raised right in Roseville.
Anytime someone doesn't know me, all I have to say is I'm Tiny Hernandez's granddaughter. And they go, oh, wow, I know Tiny Hernandez.
For 20 years, he worked as a custodian at Roseville High School and worked for Roseville Railroad. Over the decades, he mentored hundreds of young athletes in both baseball and football, always showing up with a glove in one hand and words of encouragement in the other.
Coaching was his hobby. He takes so much pride in it. I would say he shares more about coaching than anything.
Now his granddaughter Marissa Hernandez is hoping to make his legacy permanent by having a park or street named in his honor.
A lot of the parks, they're named after someone, and it's usually because they made an impact on the community. And I go, if these people can do it, why can't I do it? We've been here for generations. My grandparents went to Roseville High School. They met in high school. Happy anniversary! Happy anniversary!
Marissa brought the idea to the city of Roseville, starting with a petition that has gathered over 600 signatures and heartfelt messages.
It went from 100, 200, 300, and right now we finally hit 600 signatures, and it's been overwhelming. My grandpa can't even believe it.
Her dream is to see his name cemented into Roseville, ideally in historic Old Town, near the very places where he spent decades giving back to the community he loves.
He's a hardworking guy, and he puts his heart into everything that he does, and he expects nothing in return.
Whether it becomes a park, street, or field, the family hopes it will stand as a tribute to the values he continues to live by: service, kindness, and a deep love for his hometown.
His family is at the root of everything that he does. It's his everything.
And while city officials have yet to formally consider the petition, Tiny's story is resonating. Across social media, people throughout the community are posting their stories and memories about the impact that he had, whether it was coaching or support, but just how he truly cared for so many people. Of course, we'll keep you updated on this. And you can watch more Champions of Hope stories right now on our ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. You can download that app for free straight to your TV. Just look for Champions of Hope on your home screen. And as always, thank you so much for watching and for always inviting us into your home. If you have something that you think me and the team should be looking into, you can always email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. Have a great night. We'll see you right back here, same time, same place.